Hi, so in this video I'm going to be going over basic programming concepts. I'm going to be using the Java programming language for this video. Um, I'm doing the more beginner concepts because I know a lot of people that come into college. I had like a lot of friends that just didn't have a firm grasp on the basics of programming, but they still wanted to do the major. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this, is just all the different concepts such as variables, loops, and lists and all that other stuff. Um, so to begin with, up here, these import statements, you can import different outside directories into your code, and you could use them to perform different functions that aren't inside the built-in code itself. For example, this scanner up here, that allows you to type in through your command line inputs, and then you could receive those and use them inside your code while you're or for your program. The second one, the list, that just gives you the ability to store things into a list. So say you wanted to store like your top 10 movies, you'd be able to store them all into a list there. And then down here, I just wanted to point this out. I put that there just to show you, but it would be when you do java.util, it's this util library here is a very big library, and so most people just pick out parts of it, like the scanner that I did there in the list, like whatever they need. But if you don't want to go through the trouble of finding all that, you can just do the star here, and it will get everything in there. Most people don't do that, I guess, just because of the fact that it takes more time, and I guess people see it as lazy to do. But yeah, so moving on. This is how you would comment in the Java programming language. You can comment in a few ways. These two right here, I would say, are the main ways that people do. You can do a double forward slash, and you could type whatever you want, and the comments don't affect your code at all. You can type whatever you want in here, and it won't matter. Like, you won't have any problems if you enter. Usually it says that. It keeps going. And you can also do the forward slash with the star, and then end it with this, with the same thing but reversed. And that's usually used for if you wanted to do multiple lines of comments. Like if you wanted to comment a huge block off of something, like, and you wanted to have, something like this, it will keep going until you end it, and then you can end it like this here, and then that would be it. And that's usually just used for if you are commenting out like huge chunks. The other one that just has a double forward slash is usually just for a single line comment. Yeah, but getting into the more important stuff, I would guess. This here is public class. Mine is named Compo for community points for the class. But so this public here means it can be accessed by multiple different, or by anything in the program really. And then a class is just basically just sections of code. They're kind of like methods or stuff like that. But this one here is the main one. When you call to run your program, you would call Java and then this compo here, and then that would run your program for you. And then it would run anything in it too. This next one here is the main statement, and you need the main statement in Java to basically anything that's in that will be executed. So you could have like classes outside of the main. Like say you had another class that was just like called addition or something, and you called like it or addition on this number here, it would go outside of the main here, and it would do that, and then basically the program will follow this this main class here. So basically, whatever you put in it, it will execute, and everything outside it won't really touch unless you tell it to. This is basically directing it and like guiding it what you want your program to do. So to start off, I wanted to go through the main variables that you would use. Like there are other ones, but these I would say are the main four that you would kind of go for. Then you'll see commonly. The first one here is an int, and I have mine named as int number, and I set it equal to 1, and you could just do that by doing the name and then equal sign and then whatever value. Like I could change it to 100 if I wanted, or whatever. Oh, I changed it to yeah, you can change it to 100 or anything that's a number really, but it can't be a decimal actually. I'll bring that up in a couple seconds. But then you have string, and a string is basically anything that's more than one character. I have it here as just a single word, but you can have a string that's, entire pages worth of words. It could be a whole bunch. Like as long as it's more than just a single character, it's considered a string, and you should use that type for it. Oh, and these are just data types, and this is what stores different sorts of information. Like if you had an integer, it would hold numbers, and if you had the string, you would hold, letters and words. So you can't ever put, int and then type out hello like I have here. It just wouldn't work. The program wouldn't recognize it, and you would get an error. So the next one here is double, and I have it named decimal because that's what it's used for. You would mainly use doubles for decimals, and they basically just are a number with a decimal place and then whatever else at the end. They're just used for like if you're doing rounding or any more mathematics that like fractions and stuff like that, and you need to calculate, you would use the double variable. The char is a single letter, so unlike the string, it has to be just a singular letter, and yeah, that's pretty much all. But that's what these different ones are used for. So, I have this here that I wrote up, and I'll explain it to you quick, but it's for mainly outputting things. So in Java, if you wanted to output something to the like after you run it, like you would do the system.out.print line, or println, but for print line. And basically, what it does, I can show you too, since I just uncommented some of this stuff out. But let me recomment it really quick. You can basically, oh, and this is the command for compiling. You do java c plus the name of it of your file .java, and then we'll compile. And then to run it, you would just do java and then the name without the file extension. So here I have it printing out, and it will just print out basically to you anything that you want, within some reason, of course. So here I have system.out.println, and then I wrote just type anything here because it's as long as it's a string, it pretty much is okay. You could even put numbers in there if you want. And then there's this print, and the print keeps the cursor on that line. The ln will basically press enter. It will return to a new line. So when you do system.out.print, it'll keep your cursor on the same line as it was during that call. So when you get and I can show you here. So basically I have to type anything you want, and then this stays on the same line. And I also have down here system and out.print word, and that's just hello, as I have up there. So when you get it, it says type anything you want here, and then this stays on the same line. And when you have that if I had print, all I can show you, but if I print something on that same line, it'll stay there. So if I did something like this, system.print Okay. And then I just did ABC. Say something like that. Let me get rid of Okay, so as you can see there, it's basically mixing with my location for where I am on the server, but it says type anything you want here, and then it will like it says type anything you want, and that was in the print ln, and then it would skip down a line since I did print ln instead of print. But since I did just print on this one, it will say this stays on the same line, and then after that it'll be the ABC like I had before, and then this is just my address right there. So you can also print variables. You could do more than just printing out like how I've just been printing out strings pretty much. But you can also print out variables, and to do that in this you just have to put the variable name inside the parentheses. You don't have to put the quotation marks. If you put the quotation marks, it will literally print the word like word. It won't actually print the variable's value. So I'll show you that real quick. And as you can see right in front of Timberlake, it says hello there, and that's the value that I gave to word. So alright, since we got that out of the way, I'll go into some basic operations. And when I mean basic operations, I just mean like addition and subtraction and stuff. So if I name this thing int number 2 is what I named it, and this is how you declare something and give it a value. So I have int number already defined up here, and I give it a value of 100. So what it's saying is this value here, number 2, is going to be equal to 100 plus 100. And you could just say how I have it up here where it's the 100. You could just give it the value int number 2 equals 100 plus 100. But I just wanted to show you that you can add variables as well to when you're declaring a new variable. So the next one I have here is string and then words. And the reason I wanted to show you this here is because I'm actually adding the variable word, which is hello, and then you do to the actual like word world, and that's a mixture of like the variable and also a word there, and you can join those by just doing a plus. And most people, when you see this, you'll see that there's a space there, so you can because it will come out as word, the value of word, so it'll just say like hello, and then there will be no space, and it'll just be connecting to world. So people will add a space here, so it actually is its own word there when it prints out, which I could show you. Yeah, and as you can see right here, it says hello, which is the value of the variable word, and then world, which is what I spelled out there, and it has the space. Okay, so now on to down here. Let me comment this out so you don't see it when I input more stuff. And yeah, see, this is just for quick, like, a lot of people will just use these system.outs to check their answers later. and you could just comment them out when you're done, and you could, you know, bring them back if you'd like. So now I'm going to be showing you a structure. It's a list, and this one is called an array list. So you start it off by making these. You say array list, which is the what type it is, and then what you want to hold inside of it. And I want to hold strings, so I'm going to be putting strings, but you can also put, you know, integer or whatever you really want. So this list is going to be an array list of strings, and then right here after that you put the word, or like of the name, sorry, of what you want to name your list, and then equals a new array list of strings that's empty. So it's basically just saying you want to make an array list that's equal to a brand new array list, I guess is the simplest way of putting it. So in this language, to add to a list, you just do the name of the list dot add, and then whatever you want to add to it. But it has to be a string, or else you'll get errors as well. So and this goes for mainly any other function as well. If you just you put the what you want to call it on, the function you want to call, and then what the argument is. So in this case, the argument is just, you know, the word you're entering in, and then the operation you're calling on it is add, which is another, you get it from drop.util.list, and then you're calling it on your word list. So it's adding the word to your list that you made. So in this, I just put my name is, and then I don't know why I chose those words, but that's what I put. And then you could output what you do have added in there by just doing the system.out like I had before, .println, and the word and the actual name of the variable, like you would for any other int or something like that, like I did with number up there, and it will give you an output. That just looks like that. My comma name, and it will comment out for you the different parts, but my name is, and that's at position 0, position 1, position 2. Okay. So, onto the loops. I have an example of each of the main loops that you're going to see. So the first one I wanted to show is a for loop. Let me go down one sec. Okay. And so a for loop. A for loop is basically used for when you want to say for a certain time period. So I have here for, and then you declare a variable that you want to keep track of. Basically, it's like a counter, and everyone uses I pretty much. I mean, if you already have an I, you'll switch it to like some other random, just one character variable, and unless you want to name it something important. But so in this case, I have for, and then integer I equals 0. So I is going to be starting off at 0, and then I have for as long as I is less than 20. And then this here, I++, is just doing, for every time that this happens, it's going to add 1 to I. Plus plus or minus minus does +1 or -1. And so you do these brackets here to section off the loops that you do. So in this you do for, and then you do in parentheses this style of what you want to do, and then you parentheses, and inside that you put what you want to do for that time. So I put for I equals 0 and I less than 20, I++, number equals number plus number. So basically what it's doing here though is just taking the integer number, which I defined up there, I think what I said was like 100, and then I said, then you would put equals itself plus itself, And you could, this is a trick that a lot of people do, and you could also put plus equals here, like that, and you could just say number plus equals number, instead of doing it like the long way out, and you would just exclude this plus number at the end, and it'd be the same thing. But this way you can like change a variable dynamically in the loop. This way you don't have to have like 1 plus 1 plus 1, you know, it's just an easy way to do it. And most people won't do it to exact, like this is useless, I guess, and just doing it, I mean, like, this isn't accomplishing anything, but if you wanted to, like, do that, you can, when you set it equal to itself, and then add it to itself. So here I have it, so system.out.println, and then, you, like I showed you before, you can put any words in quotation, and then add a variable to it, and I'll put the variable's name there. So, hold on, let me... I just gotta comment this out so the output is clear. Like, I could tell what it would say because I wrote it, but it would kind of be a little messy. Okay, so in this one, it's basically gonna go as long as I is less than 20, and it's gonna be adding 1 every time. So it's gonna do this that many times. Alright, and so as you can see here, the first time it ran through, answer was equal to 200, because it did answer equals answer plus answer, so it's just basically, you know, multiplying by 2. And then it goes through each time until I is no longer less than 20. And so eventually get some, like, huge number down here, but... Okay. So, the next loop I have here is called an if loop. And in this one, it's basically a conditional. So it's like a true or a false. And you do if, and then I just have the example number is greater than 0, which it is, because I set it equal to 100 earlier up there, right up here. So if number is greater than 0, it will perform this action. Just like the for loop, you have your condition in here, and then outside the curly braces, or inside the curly braces, I would say, you do what you would do if your conditional is true. And so in this case, I just have it so number equals -1. So if ever number, like in this program, if it's running through and you put this loop, it's only going to go through one time, really, because once number is greater than 0, which it always will be, it's just going to instantly make number equal to -1, and then it won't be equal to 0 anymore. But just in the one case, I wanted to show this. So you can do if, you know, whatever you have there, and then else, and that's basically a continuation. So if you wanted to continue your conditionals, you can keep going. Or if you have like something where if it's false. So this will happen if it's true, the number equals -1, and if it's false, it will do system.out.println number is negative, because if it's not positive here, now then it'll be negative. And you can also continue these by doing else and then if again, and just keep adding things, like if number is less than, you know, whatever you want to put there. But you can keep putting different conditions and just keep adding them on top of each other in this format, where it's just if else, if else, if else, if else, for as long as you need it to go. And that's just basically used for like conditionals. It's a really useful tool if you're trying to program. So
The next loop is a while loop. And here I put, I made two variables, and the variables are int x equals 0, and then int y equals 10. So I made
these because I wanted to display how this loop kind of works. So basically, unlike the for loop goes until, like, pretty much for like a set time. Like, it's usually you use those if you want to have it like for 20 times. Like, basically you want it from 0 to 20. You want it to happen that many times, you know. But the whiles are usually if you don't know how long it's going to be or how many times you want it to run, you just want it to happen for as long as something is true, then you do a while loop. And so I have here, as long as y is greater than x, you do x equals x plus 1. So it's going to do that approximately 10 times. I know this because I have it like as a fixed variable, but a lot of times it won't be, and you won't know exactly how long it will run. But it will go through, and it will do that. And I can output it for you here.
And if you wanted to see the output every time it goes through, you would want to put the
system.out
here. And I'll just do
x.
But you want to put it inside the loop if you want to see
what it's doing at each step of it, because if you put it outside of here, it won't be doing it every time. You want the only way it will be check it each time is if it's inside your action for each time this condition is true. If I put it out here, it would only output once, and it would be after the loop was done. But I'll show quickly. So yeah, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, until it got up to the value it was required, and then it stops. So next, I have inputting, and this is really kind of interesting and useful in its own way. So with this, you want to make something called a scanner, and that's what I pointed out up here. It's this thing you get here, and this basically, like I said before, reads inputs that come into it, and you could set that input into a variable. So if I do
what I have here, so it says scanner, so I'm making a new scanner, and it's just like the array list. You set what it is right here, where's scanner, and then input is the name, and then equals a new scanner, and then inside here is the parameters of it.
up at the top here, when I had the array list, oh, here it is. As you can see, I have nothing in the parentheses here because it's not supposed to start with anything. It's supposed to start with, it's just a blank array list. But and here you want it to be everything that the person types in. So I have an example here where it's basically going to prompt me. I just have it so system.out.println, and then I'll say please type in a word, and then it will give me a second, and it will let me type something into it. And when I type something into it, it will receive it here, and so I make a string variable, I called it s, and that will equal the input dot next, and that just means what they had just, like, the next thing that they typed, or the immediate thing they typed. And then you just do, oh yeah, an input is the name of the scanner I have, by the way. So you're calling next on the scanner. You're calling for the next part of it, or what's coming in. So then you would just do system.out.println s, and I just did that just to show what I type in. So if I run it, so it says please type a word, and then if I type my name, like David for example, it'll print out David and it will end. And that would be the end of that. So that's basically a quick rundown of the basics that you would need to know to getting started in programming, I guess, in Java. So yeah, I guess I'll see you on the next video.